It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
Hey guys, how is it going? And welcome to the Morning Star Drive on 117.8. It is Thursday, December 5th, and so happy for you joining us. We are ready to start another day together with the Lord. So subscribe to us on YouTube, do not follow us on SoundCloud, and make sure to support us on Patreon. So today we have an exciting podcast for you. We have sermons in the sky, but I think it's going to be a prayer again, and then QNA Thursday, and of course commentaries, updates, and news on what is happening around the world in this history today. All right, everyone, how are you doing? And yes, it is a wonderful and awesome Thursday. We are just around the corner from the weekend, and I'm sure that everyone is looking forward to it too. I am still in Jeju-do at the moment, Jeju Island, and I will be leaving a little bit later this morning. Also, don't forget, it's not just today, but every week we do have Q&A Thursday, so get those questions ready. Send it to me whenever you can. And if you haven't yet, leave a like and comment to build our community. So I am super happy for everyone joining us every weekday on the Morning Star Drive. So let's get up and support each other each and every day. This week's Sunday message title is Be Born Again, Do Things in New Ways. All right, so it is a wonderful and awesome Thursday. I'm sure that you guys have had a lot of amazing and awesome things happen during this week, and especially a week for being born again, for doing things in new ways. I hope that you guys have come up with new ideas and new ways to do these things too. So, even for me, it's I'm in Jeju. I'm going to be leaving in a couple of hours to the airport. So I'm very, very satisfied with this trip, like 100% satisfied with this trip. I have no regrets or anything along that line. It was just a great trip. Still doing work, still doing the things that I need to do, but being able to travel and do my work while I'm traveling, which is great, especially because Western countries, there's like, it's wintertime. No one comes for the wintertime. So it's basically just, me doing a lot of Zoom and other stuff like this. And I'm able to do it remotely. So I was able to come to Jeju Island for the last 3 days. But very thankful that God gave me this time here too. I'm also recording. This will be my last recording in Jeju Island before I head back. And those of you guys who didn't see it yesterday, did you guys see my YouTube, The Rebel Pastor? I basically did that recording on the beach. It looks so amazing, guys. I was looking at it too. I was like, wow. I was watching the video. I was like, it was awesome. Awesome to see the video done in that way, right? So yeah, I think I like it, and I think I want to do more videos like that. Hopefully, I'll be able to. I was thinking, obviously, I can't do too much Wolmyeongdong stuff, but I think I can go through the back parts. There is the Tiger Path. I think I can make a video on the Tiger Path because that is that's like an awesome place. It looks more like a trail. You can't really tell that it's like Wolmyeongdong, but I think my next one, I am going to try recording it there or somewhere else in the back mountains and what we're doing. That'd be kind of cool too. And I think a lot of people would enjoy that also. Yeah. And the way that people responded to it was really good. They liked it. It was like 20 minutes, a little bit shorter. And of course, I'm not reading, this is totally not a script. I'm just talking, right? Talking about the Bible, the things that we need to think about. And I think that might be it could be a better format that I could be using too, but it is kind of cool that I can do it outdoors and I have the equipment to film myself outdoors also. So I think I will do that. Guys, take a look. I want to know how you guys thought about that video. It's the most recent Tuesday night video over there in America. It's episode 39. And I hope that you guys take a look at it. Just tell me what you think about it, if you like it better, right? And well, obviously, guys, when you look at it, the scenery is awesome. It's that much better. The beach, the mountains, the water, just everything there, it's perfect, all right? So let me know what you guys think about that. Okay, so what is the elephant in the room? And I think this is something that I'm getting calls everywhere. And they're like, what the heck happened in Korea from like Tuesday night until Wednesday morning. It was like this 6-hour ordeal. And it wasn't a small thing. It was crazy. Korea went into martial law. Like, that's huge. That's not a normal thing. Like the tanks and the army came into the city. It was declared martial law. Basically they have like emergency powers, and it lasted for like 6 hours. So super, super short. It almost felt like, like for me, I couldn't feel it as much as Koreans. Koreans were freaking out, like, "Oh my gosh, is North Korea attacking? Is this happening? Is this happening?" For me, I actually couldn't believe it. I didn't really think it was real. I didn't. I was like at night. It was like maybe 11 p.m. or whatever it is, or was it 11? I start looking at these feeds on Instagram, and it's all about the Korean president declaring martial law. And I was sitting there like going, this doesn't seem quite real, because that's a huge thing, like huge. And I was just like, is this real? Like, really? Martial law in Korea? And for me, because I didn't really believe it, and it was so late at night, it's so weird, isn't it, that at like 11 p.m., you're like 11:30 p.m. or something, like you're gonna hear a president come out and declare martial law, and everyone's confused. I just went to bed. I was like, I don't even think, is this really real? The next morning I woke up and it was already over. It was over. Like it was real too. The president declared martial law because he was saying that there was like sympathists for North Korea, or people working together with North Korea in the government, this and that. And then the government came in, and they basically pulled the plug and said, no, we vote against it. There is going to be no martial law. Then the president says, all right, I'm going to take martial law out. And then eventually he lifted the ban, right? Well, not the ban, but he lifted martial law from the country. And all day Wednesday, every single restaurant I went to, the news is constantly martial law, what's going to happen with the president, protests happening at night. Basically, like, I think the protests were like, get this president out of here, right? So they're like, they got to get this guy out of here, and they're giving him like 48 hours to resign and stuff like that too. It's pretty well, if you think about it, guys, that's crazy. And they said it's been over 40 years since the last time there was martial law, something like 44 years. And even when martial law came into place, and even when the National Assembly came in and voted against it, the army still said, no, we cannot stop this martial law until the president lifts the ban, right? So the president basically has the power to do so. Right? So it was Wednesday morning, I was like realizing it was a real thing. And I think the thing that's most interesting, like, I have a couple thoughts that come to mind, because especially when it comes to Korea, and we know the situation with Sun Stream, we know all the things that are going on. I think the thing that's most important for all of us to really think about is what? The most important thing is, like, what is the spiritual significance of this happening? You know what I mean? Like, why did this happen? What is it showing about, about Korea? Like, I had a lot of thoughts in my head, thinking, did this president have the ability to pardon Sun Stream, or did he really? Was he someone who was able to help Sun Stream out? Do you know what I mean? Because he used to be the prosecutor general of Korea. Like, he's like the main prosecutor. So, he would know the situations well. And one of his platforms that he had when he became president was to get rid of corruption and such, right? But now he's the one, going through this. Wife is going through a scandal of insider trade. That's just insider trading. There's so many things going on. I don't know. Like, I'm waiting for the word to come out to say, oh, this is what happened. Like, there's several things that came to mind. Number one is, I saw the panic and fear from the Korean people. I saw it. And I think that in itself could be a reminder, like, hey, if you lose the man of mission, if you treat the man of mission like this, war can happen. Because the first thing that everyone freaked out about is they're all thinking, because the president came out and said there's threats from North Korea. That was something like, whoa, people were freaking out. People were calling from everywhere. And a second thing, but not a second thing, but there might be like an individual sin or something that this president might have done. Because this is ridiculous. Basically, he declared martial law and lifted martial law after 6 hours. So, this guy is now, they're calling for his head, right? He's got to resign, or he's going to get impeached. He's going to get if he goes to the impeachment vote, he's gone. Like, even people in his own party are against him for what he just did like 2 days ago, right? So when I look at this, I think the biggest thing that it makes me think about is what is the spiritual significance? And I think that's something that we can all pray about and think about, or this could be a sign of what is to come. It could be a foreshadowing. It could be something where God is saying, hey, guys, if things keep going this way, things like this are going to happen, but it's going to become more and more real as time goes on. Do you know what I mean? So when I saw this, even though it wasn't that physically harmful, meaning like there wasn't this huge thing going on, right? Nothing like that was going on. There wasn't a real reason for martial law to come in. Even the US, remember, they have an army base in Korea, right? In South Korea. Even they did absolutely nothing because they have all the intel to see whether something is actually happening with North Korea or not. So just the fact that America did absolutely nothing also was a sign that like, oh, okay, so maybe it's not, as big as we thought it was. But it's one of those things where it's like a warning thing, where we can look at it and say, whoa, shots fired. Like God is saying, wake up. God is saying to all of us, we don't want something like this to happen. We've got to wake up from where we are right now, right? Whether it's about evangelism, whether it's about taking care of each other, all these things we have to revive and get ourselves back up to where we should be. And I think that's something that, excuse me, that I think it's something that we really, really have to think about very, very carefully too. So yeah, I was thinking, I was really thinking, like, even though it was a false alarm and it was just a terrible mistake by the president, it's coming from us in this history, and coming from us who are not looking at things only physically. It is something we look at and say, yo, what is actually going on, right? What is the spiritual reasoning? And it's this, what happened on Tuesday night is so uncommon and so like strange and weird, and like we have like, what happened? It happened so quickly and suddenly. And I big kudos to the Korean people. Protests started the moment he called for martial law. Like, people were out in the streets protesting. And a couple of things that I was thinking about is when we learned about time times half at times, when Sun Tzu's mission began, we also learned at that time leaders were changing around the world. And that's one of the big signs too, when leaders start changing, right? And that's why I'm wondering, what is the sign? And one of the big things that I look at is maybe the president had some ability or a role to help out Sun Tzu in the trial. That's just what my feeling is, right? Maybe he had the ability to change it. Like I said, he used to be the prosecutor general of South Korea. So very, very interesting, and something that I looked at and said, ugh, oh, it's a warning shot, or it's something that God is kind of opening our eyes to, right? You know something interesting is, like, I've been here in Jeju for 3 days, and I'm heading back today, I told you. And I thought about something. And on the last night, one of the last nights before coming back, it was so interesting because just all of a sudden some big problem comes up, right? And first thing that happens in my heart is the drop. Like, your heart kind of drops for, like, it's kind of like, oh man, like just when you think everything is good, then problems or difficulties or situations start popping up. And at the first, my heart dropped. And then I thought to myself, I thought about something. I was like, you know, is there ever going to be a time when everything's okay? You know, is there ever going to be a time like this? Or is it going to be like I'm like, God, like there's no ending to this. And as I was thinking about this a little bit more deeply, a Bible verse came to mind. It's kind of like the Holy Spirit, popped up. This Bible verse popped out, and it's John 14:26, and it talks about the Holy Spirit's role. And it says, the Holy Spirit, right, will teach you all things and will remind you of everything I have said to you. And that's one of the things we learn in the lesson of the Holy Trinity and the Holy Spirit is one of the roles the Holy Spirit has is to remind us of the Word, right? Because it's the words of God. It's the person, the man of mission that delivers the words of God to us. Those are the words we live by. These are the words of the Almighty, omnipotent God. But when we hear those words, a lot of times we forget them. But what the Holy Spirit does is when the situation comes, the Holy Spirit inspires us and says, remember what was said here. And after I thought about that verse, there is the words from something that popped up. Okay? And I'm sure you guys have heard this before. Sunsi basically said, from the moment you are born, life is constant suffering. And we're going to face problems and issues and sufferings regardless if we believe in God or not. Right? And that's why Sunsi was like, hey, if you're going to have problems anyways, you might as well go through those problems for something that's meaningful, something that's worth it, right? So when I was listening, I was like, oh, that's so true. And then I thought to myself as, you know what? It's so true. Suffering is going to happen no matter what. Suffering will never stop until we die. Now that sounds a little bit sad, like, oh my gosh, this is the life that we have to live. We're going to constantly be suffering all the time kind of thing, right? And I thought to myself, but it's true, right? From the moment we're born, we're going to start, the sufferings never end. Problems, difficulties, hardships, they continue in life until we die. Which then made me think to myself is, wait a second. If problems, like going through problems is a normal thing in life. Like it's something that just happens no matter what. If this is something that's normal, if this is something that just happens anyways in life, the big question I think we need to, the big thing that I thought to myself is, should I ever be surprised? Right? Think about it. If we really recognize and we understand that problems will never end in life, then why should we be surprised when it comes? Shouldn't we actually expect it to happen? Like, we're not going to know exactly what happens. We don't know what the problem's going to be, but it's going to come. And we should actually expect things to happen, shouldn't we? Because that's what life is. We shouldn't get shocked by the fact there is a problem. I think the thing that should really shock us more than the problem itself is more of how bad the problem really is when it comes to our perception. Like, for instance, we're going to get problems anyways, but I think I would rather be shocked, or like I'd rather have that painstaking moment because it's like something so dear to me where there's someone close to me that stabs me in the back. Like I would rather be shocked by that than just constantly being shocked. Oh, another problem. Oh, another. Like, the problem is not the issue. The problems are going to happen no matter what, because there are many things that happen around us. There's things happen because of situation, circumstance. Things happen because of the people around us. Things happen because of us. Things happen just because it's the timing. Right? Things happen because we're in punishment or judgment. Like, think about this. Imagine you're living at the time of Israel that's enslaved by Egypt. You're born a slave. You know what I mean? You're born a slave, which basically means that you're in the time of punishment and you got to go through it. You know what I mean? So when I thought about this, I was like, yeah, it's so true. There's so many different reasons, but what is for sure is we're going to have problems no matter what. It's going to happen. 100%. It's absolute. And when I thought that to myself, I was like, yeah, you know what? I should expect it and I shouldn't be surprised by it. Because if I get surprised because there's a problem, then even when the problem's solvable, even when the problem is something that's normal in life, then I'm going to feel like, oh no, what is my life? Oh, why is it like this when I don't need to? And I think it's something where we should have expectation. Yeah, things are going to happen. It's going to happen. Hey, this happened. Sure. What happened? Let me know. Right? What happened here? Cool. Yeah, I think I was thinking like that's the healthier way to deal with it. Right? Like, especially like when I look at my position as doing IMD, when I'm looking at multiple countries, of course there's going to be problems. Like you got to think about that's one of my job descriptions is resolving problems. And it's not just one country. You're talking like 10, 15 countries. I shouldn't be shocked at their problems. Shouldn't be overwhelmed by them either. I actually think that I should be more pleasantly shocked when it's quiet, you know? And maybe even think to myself is like, ooh, it's a little bit too quiet. It's like, it feels like the quiet before the storm hits and crushes me kind of thing, right? So I was like, I should start preparing myself. And like, I would say one thing for sure is, one thing I do notice about myself is every time a problem comes, or every time something big happens, because I'm going through more and more of these things, it just doesn't feel like I'm starting to not get used to it, but understand that, okay, I'm not like freaking out or getting upset, whatever it is not going to help the situation. It's just not going to help, right? And it makes me, because I see and I'm dealing with more and more problems, it's kind of like, oh, all right, so here it is. Okay, cool. So we have a problem. And the one thing I don't want is that my heart dropping. I want to feel there's a problem. All right, what's happening? Let's figure it out. Let's see what we can do. What can I do as IMD to help this situation? What can I do? Is it me listening? Is it me, sending a letter? Is it me doing this? Is it me talking to two different people? Like, what can I do to help the situation? And of course, I know that I look at myself too. I'm still a rookie. It's been 4 months. I'm still learning as I go. I ask a lot of questions, and I ask questions to. It's really weird. Like, have you guys had this where? I guess maybe it's my mind it's so logical that I'm looking for patterns. Oh, so when this type of thing happens, then it's because then I'll do this. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Boom. That's what I'll do. You know what I mean? Like I thought to myself, I was like, ooh, that would be I think that's a great, I'm trying to look for that pattern of how to deal with the situation. But also when I see that we're dealing with a lot of people, like there's policies and guidelines you can install, but they're never 100%. You know what I mean? Not everyone deals with things the same way. Not everyone's the same situation, circumstance. Policy and guidelines, they're very general. Like they're the general thing we need to do, but it is not you have to do it like this because every church and every situation is far different. And, I think that, I want to be better at this, and I want to be the person that the problem could be told to me, that I'll be very reasonable, like not freaking out by it, like, all right, so what's going on? Okay, so what can we do here? Oh, what's going to happen here? All right, so what's the next thing that we can do to solve this problem and make it a little bit better? And that's kind of the thing that I was thinking to myself is, I really want to get myself into that type of position and be that type of a person that's calm and steady, that doesn't freak out, right, whenever there's a problem. But I want to be the person where people say, they'll tell the problem and be like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, so what happened? And they'll be like, oh, then there's a calm vibe that comes out whether people will say, "Oh, I can talk to this person. I really can." And yeah, like that was just one of the thoughts I had because I'm heading back, but problems keep coming and that's okay. It's okay. There's no reason for me to think otherwise. But my role is to help as much as I can and do my best to make sure that everyone is doing well too, right? That we can find the best way to resolve it. I want to, and I think one thing that I cannot do is I don't want to think of those problems as my problems because then it can become more emotional. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, if I was in there, oh, I'd be like this and I'd be like this. I'd be more of, okay, so this is a problem that I am helping them with. I am not there in their country. I am not literally in their situation, and I don't have all the information that they do. Just got to listen to both sides, see what's happening, and move forward from this point on. And I think it's something that I have to really disassociate my mind to because I'm such an extrovert. I kind of know like all these people from all the countries, but I have to be very, very unbiased and fair, or else, there's the last thing I want to do is to treat people unfairly or show favoritism. Like that's the one thing I don't want. And I hope it's something that I can train my heart to do really, really well. And I hope it's something that all of us can train our hearts to do too. It's always the emotional things that come in and hurt us from making great decisions or hurts us actually from doing God's will, right? So I hope that's something that all of us can really, really think about also, either way. Okay, so yeah, that's a couple of thoughts that I've been having while I was here in Jeju Island. I will, tomorrow's the last podcast of the week. That one will be done on back in Wolmyeongdong area, and I'm very much thinking about starting my recordings in Wolmyeongdong and no longer here. Not no longer. I'm not going to be Jeju anyways, but not just in my office, but in many different places, and I think that would be kind of cool also. Either way. All right. So there it is, guys. That is segment number 1 for today. We do have QNA Thursday next. So let's move into the first music break of the day. right, so let's get into today's Q&A Thursday, and we have a couple of questions, about 3 questions today, and I hope it's these 3 questions will really be able to open our hearts and our eyes more clearly to the questions we have about the message, questions we have about things that Sunseam said and such too. Right, so let's get into them. 3 questions today. First one is this. In the Sunday message, it said, "Do not spread the gospel like a person giving out bird seeds and letting them peck at them to eat." Do you interpret this as to not evangelize people one by one, but in the masses, such as internet ministry, in which he follows, basically taught. This was actually during the section where Sunseam was talking about internet ministry, of bringing like masses of people into this history. So what does it mean? Do not give the word or the gospel like bird seeds. Okay. And when you kind of look at the context of that point, and even when Sunseam talks about internet ministry, he's not talking about everyone do internet ministry and do things in ways where you're always like preaching to the masses, because that's not something that he's actually saying. What he's saying is don't do things in small ways, right? So even if you're preaching one-on-one, don't do it like you're giving bird seeds, like these really, really small seeds, and people are pecking at them. They're not going to feel the greatness of the word. What Sunseem's talking about here is not do internet ministry or speak only to the masses. We know that one-on-one evangelism will always be something that we do in Providence. It's going to be a normal, regular thing we always do. It may not be our main method of evangelism, but it's always going to be there. We're always going to be meeting people, but what Sunseem is saying is do it in a big way. So how do you do it in a big way for a one-on-one is you don't want to just sit there and let them peck at these small morsels of the word. Give them some big pieces and big chunks, so they'll be like, whoa, I never thought about that, right? So when I look at this, if we take it as don't do one-on-one ministry, then basically every church in the world is wrong. And what Sunseem was saying there is don't do it in small ways, which means that if the word is like food, bird seed is tiny. And they're pecking at these really, really small things, and they're not really able to get filled with those bird seeds of the gospel. We need to give them bigger chunks. Give them pieces of steak, not like the whole steak. Give them pieces of steak. Give them something substantial. So when I look at this part of the word, it's not saying don't do one-on-one evangelism. From what I read the context, yes, it does talk about internet ministry, but doing things giving the gospel in this situation, when Sunseem says, don't spread the gospel like a person giving out bird seeds and letting them peck at them to eat. What I feel from this is it's not just, hey, only do big massive ministry where you have like thousands of people constantly. It's more of don't do things in small ways, right? Don't give the gospel in such a small way. But when you deliver the gospel, let it be something where it hits people, and they're going to be like, oh, this is what I've been looking for, more than the really, really small pieces where people are like, all right, thank you. It doesn't seem that much more different than what I've learned in the former faith kind of thing. You know what I mean? So that's what I would take from that part of the message. And in that context, Sunseem does talk a lot about the contract does say that what did I say? The contract? Sorry. It's the context. The context. Remember, always look at the context where it comes from. It does talk about internet ministry, and Sunseem does want us to get more deeper into doing spreading the gospel to the masses, right? And spreading the gospel to the masses, I've told you guys many times, I kind of feel a little bit embarrassed that I'm the biggest YouTuber in subscription-wise in Providence right now. I kind of feel embarrassed by it because I've been doing it for a little over 3 years now, and I'm at 6,000 something. But I think just getting to this point, I do have to remind myself that there are very few. I'm in the top 95%. The top 5% of YouTube that has over like 6,000 subscribers, it's a very, very small number of people, which means that, like I said, when a YouTube channel hits 10,000, that's 1.25% of YouTube channels that actually hit 10,000 subscribers. So I know it, like sometimes I compare myself always to these people with 1 million and 5 million and 10 million subscribers. But I also realize is they are so far and few. Those people are the 0.0000001% of YouTubers that actually reach that height, right? So for me is slow and steady wins the race. But I would say the biggest thing that matters is consistency. Consistency is the key. You can't have a YouTube channel or like an Instagram. Like Instagram, you got to be doing it two to three posts a day. And for YouTube, you got to be doing at least 2 videos a week. And then, of course, you'll have shorts and stuff like that too. So that is something that we do have to take into consideration and understand that the consistency is going to be the biggest thing. And I think that's the only thing that's made any of my channels successful is basically consistency. Like that's the big thing. Consistency makes the channel it actually makes the channel grow that much more because I've been consistent both in MSD, which basically means that I've been consistent for 4.5 years, which allows you guys to trust me that I'm going to send these things out. And I've been doing it for over 4.5 years. And for YouTube, the Rebel Pastor channel, people, they know I'm serious about it. And I'm consistently bringing out more and more content. And I think that's something that we do have to recognize, that when it comes to internet ministry, we do need people doing internet ministry. But I also know that it's not something that's that easy to actually do. Because how many people are going to put that much effort into something that they're probably not going to be making any money for the first 5 to 7 years? And that's doing it consistently. Think about it, guys. I'm making like $50 a month from those two channels combined. That's what I'm actually making from it, right? And I have over 6,000 subscribers. So it is something we do have to really, really think about properly also, okay? So that moves into the second question. It talks about the Sunday message again. It says, all of this precious history was in danger of being completely taken away at first. So I prayed, weeping and wailing. I prayed only to God while telling him all the details of the situation. And the question is, do you know any details of this situation? Was this something recently with everything that happened in 2023? Or maybe Warmyungdong being in danger to be taken away? And for me, I don't really know. I'm not exactly sure when this is talking about. It could be 1999 when that first thing happened there. It could be 2008 when Sunsim, went to the, he took the path, the path of the cross, right? Or 2023. Like, I'm not actually sure. Or it could be 2014 going into the rapture where, remember, that was a time where without Sunsim's sacrifice, no one could receive. No one could be raptured at that time, right? So when we think about it, there are probably an X amount of times, like there's probably multiple times that we could think that, like, oh, maybe that was it, or maybe it could have been last year. We don't know. But we do know is that Sunsim was the one that wept and, cried out to God to save this history. And that's something I think none of us can doubt. But I am not actually sure when that actually happened, right? Because even last year, Sunsim did hint at that. It was something that was kind of scary when Sunsim said when Christianity lost Jesus, they lost the temple, right? 70 AD, the Romans came in and destroyed the temple of God. And it's never been rebuilt. And that was a scary thing for us because last year when Sunsim was talking about that, we're like, oh my gosh, can you imagine if we lose Warmyungdong? Like the temple was taken away. Like that was something that it was really, really scary for me too, to think that could be gone. So I think it's something that we do need to, I don't have the exact answer. And I'm hoping that we'll be able to, maybe Sunsim will talk more deeply about this in the future also too. Okay? Let's go into the last question of the day, right? So last question, a very, very interesting one. And this is something that I do think everyone, I want you guys to listen to the whole thing first, and then let's get into it. And this is one of the things I do think that that we have to be really good at is listen to the entirety of what someone is saying, and then don't just start reacting emotionally in the middle or this or that and thinking, oh my gosh, did Sunseem actually say it? Let's take a look at this properly. Okay? So here's a question. Then we'll read the whole thing. I have once heard that Sunseem said in the past. So this is not something that they heard directly. It's something that they heard from another source, that Sunseem said this in the past. Okay? It says, it's okay to bring males through the beauty of females. That's what this person heard. And with all the word now on conforming our thoughts to the heavens, strict separation of females and males, and purity education, more polishing, cleansing our hearts, is this something still applicable today? I guess the initial question may have the initial question is, when and what context did Sunseem say this in the past? Because newer members have confusion when told one thing on the pulpit, but told another by these words when people say, oh, Sunseem said this in the past by older members. I myself have seen this end so tragically with males who have come and left with these females later. Some have come, stayed, and when the females either become agape or get married to someone else, the male member is affected and ends up leaving or upset. It's evident in the cases I have seen, this ends in a very bad result, which may be clearly the response to doing something based on our own thoughts or wrong or sinful way. One may come for the beauty of a female and come to realize and fall in love with God, but from all cases I have seen, that attraction feeling never left them, even while they were running, appearing to be doing well. How should we be educating based on this? Okay, so the first thing is, I think the good thing that this person was able to clarify is number one is this wasn't heard directly from them. It was heard from someone else who heard it. Okay, so there's the first thing that we have to have in our minds, okay, so it's not directly what they said. And I think the most important thing that we need to think about first is what is the context? What's he talking about? For instance, we have a modeling department, we have cheer, we have different types of dances and stuff. And there's a lot of beautiful people, beautiful women in Providence. And that's true. And it's not a crime to be beautiful. And just because you're beautiful doesn't mean you have to hide under a hood, right? And not show your beauty. Okay? So when I look at that too is if we have fashion shows, if we have people doing dance, if we have people doing all these other things, and males are attracted to that, and males are attracted to that beauty, that is not something where we are literally going out and saying, hey, I'm going to date you, so you got to look at my beauty, and then you're going to come to this history because I know you want to date me. You know what I mean? That's something that when I look at that, I was like, yeah, I wonder what the context actually was of this, because I can see that it's so general, that statement that males can come through the beauties of females, that it could be anything because it's so general. What I would say is, even when Sunseem says something, I think this person spelled it out pretty well, is it our own thoughts? Or is it doing it according to God's thoughts, right? And I would say that there's going to be multiple different outcomes of this. Now, what does that mean? For instance, what if someone does come to, let's say someone goes to church for the first time and you have a talent show. Let's just say, okay? And then during the talent show, they see a girl dancing and they're like, whoa, she's so pretty. I like this church, right? So is that what you call actively using beauty to bring a male to church? And the answer is no way. They're just giving glory to God. And someone from the world, and if you're from the world, if you're a worldly person, do you think it's weird for them to be attracted to a pretty person? And the answer is no. That's how the worldly world works. We are bringing people in from the world and transforming them by listening to the words of God and changing through it, which means that that's going to be a normal thing. Whether it's going to be girls that are being attracted to guys or guys being attracted to girls, if you're bringing in people from the world, that is going to be a natural occurrence. And I think wouldn't you say that's a fair thing to say, that if you're evangelizing someone who's coming from the world, that being attracted to the opposite sex is much different than when you're in Providence, right? So that would be a very natural thing. So let's just say that this person starts, coming to church and listen to the word because they really think this, like there's someone of the opposite sex that's really pretty or handsome, whatever it is, right? Now, they start listening to the word. So when they start listening to the word, they are going to start, if they're really going to get to the point they pass, it means that they've realized. It means that the Holy Spirit has opened their eyes, right? And that's truth. You can't realize just because you want to. It's something that God opens our eyes to, right? Now, even after you open your eyes, does that mean that the moment you come into this history, you no longer have an attraction to the opposite sex? And the answer is, it's probably stronger, because you know the rules in this history and you haven't fully taken that out of your system, but you know the rules. Do you know what I mean? So here you are. Just because you pass doesn't mean you're perfect, but you need to start making yourself. And one thing I heard directly from Sunseem during a Sunday message, Sunseem says, God gives everyone 3 years to change, which means that for the first 3 years, while they're learning the word, and they came because of someone else, because they like someone else. They thought someone else was really pretty or handsome, whatever it is, but they have 3 years to take the words change and focus only on God, where God becomes the main. It doesn't mean you're not attracted to girls or guys. It doesn't mean that. It just means God is number one on your priority. And this is why, think about this, guys. What happened last year with KJS? She's been in Providence a year longer than me. She was in Providence last year. She was in Providence for 26 years. But just because you're in Providence for 26 years, does that mean that you'll 100% get rid of that attraction? The answer is absolutely not. It means you are stronger. It means you can hold it better. It means you can you're much stronger. You've changed yourself a lot more, but it doesn't mean you stop getting tempted. It doesn't mean you stop, feeling this or that towards the opposite sex or whatnot. So as he basically said is, until you die, you're going to have those attractions. Those feelings are going to be there 100% until you die. That's just human nature. We were made, right, to be attracted to the opposite sex. But we were not meant to constantly take action on it, right? That's why even in the world, even in people not in Providence, there are gentlemen. There are really good people out there that even though they feel it, they have self-control. Yeah, it doesn't mean that just because you're not in Providence, you don't have self-control. There's some people who have great self-control more than people in Providence. And that's something that we need to recognize also is, some of these things are going to always be there. And for instance, someone could be in Providence for 5, 6, 7 years, and they're really doing their best, and they're really focused on God. But when you start to backslide, when you start to lose that spirituality, what happens to the physical side? It becomes strong again, and that temptation comes back. Does that mean they've never stopped liking someone or attracted to this or that? And the answer is no. It doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that the entire time they were faking it. It basically means that they were doing well for a certain amount of time. They became spiritual. They were able to control themselves. But when it came to the point where they start to backslide, they start to lose that spirituality, they start to lose themselves, this is when they start reverting back to their old physical thoughts. And I'll look at myself as a testament of that. Meaning, when I'm doing really well spiritually, I think nothing of all the other people and all the different things that I'm tempted by. I think nothing of it. There's nothing there because I'm so focused, I'm so spiritual. But when I begin to digress, right? When I begin to go back into my become a little bit more physical, what happens? That's when I start to become a little bit more physical. And then the temptations become more stronger, not because the temptations are stronger. Temptation is the same. It's just that my heart became more physical. So I would say is naturally, just naturally, there's going to be attraction. And it's not going to be like I obviously think it's wrong if just girls are out there dressing sexy and flaunting themselves and flirting with the guys so that they start doing Bible study. Like, obviously, that is wrong. Like, that doesn't make any sense at all. It doesn't, right? But on the flip side is I don't want people to think that just because a girl is pretty that they can't go out and evangelize. Well, you're going to hold it against them if they're pretty and more guys come to them? Do you know what I mean? Like there's like a bunch of different things that we do have to think about at the same time. And if anything, we need to be very, very reasonable and rational about each of these situations, right? You know, what did Sunseem really mean? What was the context of what he was saying? And we need to be those like, yeah, that is kind of true. In a very general sense, it's happening all the time in Providence because there's plenty of pretty girls in Providence and there's plenty of times they're on stage and plenty of times they're dancing or singing or doing this or that. Yes, plenty of times. But does that mean that if someone comes to God and they start to give God a chance because of that, that means that we're going to say, get out. You don't believe? No. Right? Even for myself, when I know, when I first started coming to Providence, right? I was looking for a new start, but I was looking for a girlfriend. Like I was like, oh, I haven't had a girlfriend now. I think it's the right time for me to have a girlfriend, and the right place to find a good girl is at church. That was one of my side motives. It was, but after years, coming to this history, realizing this history deeply, I'm like, ooh, I got to focus. I really, really got to focus, right? And guess what? Guys, I'm not saying this is going to happen. I'm just going to say this as an example. So I've been in Providence 26 years. Let's pretend, let's just pretend, guys. Don't think this is real. That next year I leave Providence and then I get married to some person another person that left Providence, whatever it is, right? Does that mean that all my 26 years were fake? And does that mean that all the 26 years I wasn't doing it for the right reason? Or I was doing it for the right reason, and then when I couldn't manage myself properly and I couldn't remain spiritual, I began to become more physical, and then I started getting it, then those temptations came in, and then I actually did that. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of different ways that we can look at it, and we need to be very reasonable about the way that we are understanding how these things are happening, if that makes sense, right? So that's how I would definitely look at it. And for me, I've seen many cases that have worked, right? Now, if it's flat out, you're coming, like if someone is like showing someone that they like them kind of thing, well, like I think that's not the right way to use beauty. That's not the right way at all, right? But yeah, some people are going to leave, and some people are going to leave with other people too. And I've seen people who stayed too. If we have like tens of thousands of people in Providence, we have many examples of people who are able to overcome. Do you know what I mean? So because opposite sex is one of the biggest temptations that Satan actually does, it's going to be the thing that we see the most. It is. And because that's the case, we need to understand that that's why Sunseem said, he said 80% of people who leave Providence is because of the opposite sex. 80%, right? So that's something that it's going to always be the big temptation. And we have to recognize this and understand in a very reasonable sense, okay, so yeah, it's always going to be an issue either way. All right, so that's how I would answer that one there. If you have any questions or anything else you want to add to it, would love to hear what you guys think about this too. All right, so before we get into this or anything further, let's move into the before we get into the prayer, let's get into the last music break of the day.
Yeah, rise up to the challenge, armed with the word and action, built to the truth, fastened, shield of faith in one hand, sword of the spirit I'm slaying, no mercy I'm praying. Everyone thinks I lost, but now I'm turning Super Saiyan. I gotta be new, gotta be great, I only gotta win this thing. Fixing mistakes, fix who I am, all I wanna do is change. Gotta be brave, gotta be tough, no more time for delaying. It's just training, all those times of pain. Off, pushing my limits, only with God. I'm trying to be better, I'm trying to feel God. Enemies watching, they want you to fall, but you have to be better, you have to give it your all. Every day I make myself, but I know it's not easy. This is the life I chose and I know my spirit's breathing. The battle has only begun and I may take damage, but if I fall, all I know how to do one thing. Rise up to the challenge, armed with the word in action. Belt to the truth fastened, shield of faith in one hand, sword of the spirit I'm slaying, no mercy I'm praying. Everyone thinks I lost, but now I'm turning Super Saiyan. I'm Goku turning Super Saiyan, I'm charged up, now I'm playing. On the mount like Sinai, I connect with God like Wi-Fi. Receive the word, always praying, spiritual path where I'm staying. Everyone thinks I lost, but I'm always with him, so you know I'm prevailing. Protecting myself from Satan, armed with the truth, now my angels will shoot like. Now I'm at my truest form, I'm trying to really be the greatest. The power level can't contain it, my energy is never draining. Look how far we have made it, unlocking levels, never hesitated. There's no try, you can just do it or don't, so fix your thoughts instead. Everybody makes mistakes, just gotta take notes, can afford to do it again. Life is so easy, if you just do what is right and just follow what's real. Victory becomes true skill, gotta stay on course, time to kill. Time to rise and shine, thinking of the past and never forget. God is Lord, by your side, holding your hand, dry your eyes, trust in the Lord every night and day. He'll never let you go, don't fall away. Be bold, be brave, and with all your heart, love the Lord to the end of time. Rise up to the challenge, armed with the word in action. Held to the truth, fastened, shield of faith in one hand, sword of the spirit I'm slaying, no mercy I'm praying. Everyone thinks I lost, but I'm turning Super Saiyan.
Okay, so let's get into today's final segment. And of course, on this wonderful Thursday, we do usually do Sermons in the Sky, but we are going to do another prayer segment. And a lot of people do enjoy a time of prayer together. And I think it's really cool doing this on a podcast. One of the things I really enjoy is that we come together in prayer. So when there's a prayer, we listen together, whether we're driving or we're in class or we're cleaning, whatever. I think it's a great thing that we come with one heart, like a representative prayer, and we all like say amen, like, oh, that's something I really, oh, amen kind of thing, right? So, yeah, without further ado, let's get into today's, this week's prayer. Almighty God, Holy Spirit, Holy Son, Lord Jesus, we are grateful and we are thankful that you have brought us, you have chosen us and brought us into this history. We are not here by accident, for every single person has been handpicked. Every person has responded to the word. Every person has put the words into action. Every person, God, has made and given you so much joy just by being here. And even more so, the thing I find so amazing is you tell us that we should be most thankful for fulfilling the purpose of creation in 2015 on 3/16. And that was the greatest day that gave you the greatest joy in all of history. And when I look at all of us that are here right now, what brings you even more joy is that even after we raptured, just 8 years later, we had the greatest spiritual battle in Providence history. For the last 6,000 years, there's never been a time greater, more difficult. The tribulations, the hardships, nothing has been greater than what happened last year. And after receiving the rapture, we proved the rapture in our hearts, the rapture in our spirits, by overcoming even that spiritual battle. And we want to give glory to you. We want to give thanksgiving for your protection, for your love, for helping us through all of 2023, and now getting through all of 2024, getting through all the baggage and all the trauma and the things that happened the year before, we're able to recover and make it to this time. But God, we don't want to just stop here. We don't want to be those who just say, oh, yay, we made it, we recovered. We want to be those that take the momentum of 2024 and move into 2025 with the word and with evangelism. God, how can this history be, how can we even be called true disciples, that we have been saved and we have been made at this time here, and yet we are not saving others? We don't see the value of how great it is to be here in this history. We don't see how great it is to be saved from eternal damnation. We are here, God, and we want to do it better. We want to be ready, God, for 2025. We want to end this year well, making sure that everything happens properly. We want to make sure, God, that we are not going to make the same mistakes, but we're going to be even better than we were in the past. God, 2025, the year of the word and evangelism. This is what we want to prepare ourselves. Let us know the words each and every week. Let us know the 30 lessons. Let us know each of the principles. Let us know each of the concepts so deep in our hearts that anyone who comes will not give them small bird seeds for them to peck at. Let us give them huge morsels of food where they'll be satisfied in their hearts, in their stomachs, in their spirit, that they will want to come to this history even more deeply. Bless this day. Bless all the people who are listening to this prayer right now, that we will be those that will not say, oh, I'll just evangelize a few people in my life. No, God, you want us to evangelize the thousands and tens of thousands. We want our churches not to stick at 50 people or 100 people or 1,000. We want these churches to grow. We want people to realize. We want people to be raptured. We want people to escape from death. But this cannot be done until we revive ourselves and we change our hearts and polish ourselves so we will be ready more than ever. God, you have loved us. You have given us everything. You've given us the hope. And we want to reach that level. We want to be at such a level, God, that in everything that we do for your will, that we'll not just fulfill the will, but we'll fulfill the will in such a satisfying way that it brings a smile to your face, like, wow, these are my brides. These are the people that I have chosen, and I have not made a mistake with them. God, we have less than 28 days. We have like 26 days, God. We have less than 4 weeks before the end of the year. Let us prepare well to end the year. Let us really have our hearts and minds just solely focused on you. Let us not look to others, but let's look, God, only to what we can do in this history together with you. Bless this day. Guide us in all that we do. Help us, Lord God, so we will be at our best at all times. And I pray, God, that we will be those that will serve you, love you, and we will have that absolute faith and trust in you and the one that you have sent, and that no matter what happens, we will focus on this history and fulfill the will that you have called for all of us to do. We thank you so much for all that you've done. We pray all these things in Jesus' name. Amen. All right. Amen, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed that time of prayer. I hope you guys will have an amazing and awesome day. Please enjoy your Thursday, and we'll see you guys again then tomorrow on the Morning Star Drive on 117.8.
It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly, so let's realign. line. Just listen and fill your mind.
I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when